Woohoo! Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. We have with us Simone Millicis, who is such a huge contribution in creating access as we know it today. We are so very grateful to you, Simone, for everything you do with and for access, and for also coming on this live with us. It's such an amazing time to always have these chats with you. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm thrilled to be on here too. It's cool. What can we change?
Yeah. And like one of the first things that every time I think of Simone, I think of business, and I also think of money. Like given like that was the first my first introduction to you, like in my access journey. I remember having read this book of yours called How to Get Out of Debt Joyfully, and there was such a different energy with money that was made available and possible in that book. So can we quickly, like, can we have you speak about, like, I know, like, from that book I know that you've had a very different reality with money before, and you've literally in this lifetime changed it on its head, and how, and you continue to do
Yeah.
it. Can you speak about that, please?
Yeah, I was talking to Paula Peralta, who we work with the other day, and I was telling her some stories, and I went, I honestly feel like this was like another life. Like when I tell these stories, I'm like, whose life was that? And there's a lot of stuff that I mention in Joy of Business book and also in Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, like stories about things that I chose. Because we were talking about being brave with your choices. And I love that I'm going to India and I'm going to Delhi because I'm flying to Delhi on Monday, right? And we have this class coming up, Ease and Joy with Money, live in Delhi, or you can join audio live. And I haven't been to Delhi in so long. And I'm staying at this beautiful hotel that's, I don't know, on the expensive side, 5-star, all of this sort of stuff. And I was telling her about there's an area in Delhi called Paharganj, which we're going to. And that's where I used to go all the time. And I'd heard of it. That's it. All I'd heard was this is an area that you can go to and you can meet suppliers that you can get bedspreads and clothes, etc. off. So I went to India and I thought I'm going to start a business and get bedspreads, jewelry, all these different things, and take it home to Australia and sell it at the markets because I didn't want to do anything that was normal. So I was like, I want to do this. So I literally went to Paharganj. I didn't know anyone. I'd never been there before. I arrived there and I stayed at some hotel that was quite dodgy and walked the street and I just kept speaking to people. But we were talking the other day about how you made all these choices and I didn't even have money behind me. Like I wasn't like, oh, if I get in trouble, I've got this credit card, I can go, stay here, I can go do this. I was just like, I have to live this adventure and put one step in front of the other. And I was telling about there was this one hotel that I stayed at that cost the equivalent to $2 Australian a night at that time. And I remember it was like this double bed, and I was asleep in the bed and there was like blood on the wall. And I was like, I don't want to touch the wall. I was like, oh my God. But that's where I was staying. And that's what I could afford at the time, or thought I could afford at the time, in order to go buy, like with $1,000 I had or something like that, to buy some goods to take back in my backpack, to go home to Australia, to sell them, to make more money, to go back to India and do the same thing again. And how I developed it too was I spoke to everyone and said, hey, what's can you do business with me? Like, let's create a relationship. And I would notice that there was people there who were more inclined to say, hey, no, like, how much money are you giving me today? What's your order today? And I was like, well, I can only afford 10 bedspreads today. And they would be like, no, they wouldn't give me a good price. And I'm like, I have to get a good price because I have to take them home to sell them so I can make more money to come back and then I can buy more. And I would say to them, look, I would eventually like to be getting a container load to go to Australia. But at the moment, I'm shoving them into my backpack and going home, And I would literally walk the streets, drank so much tea. I do like the tea in India. Drank so much tea with everyone and would see who would be willing to play with me, basically. And I met some amazing people, and we did create these great relationships. And eventually I was getting a container of goods to go to Australia, because I ended up wholesaling and just kept moving forward with my business and with the choices. But I didn't know how it was going to show up. I just knew that I had to keep taking this one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other, and finding out, what's next. So yeah. I mean, sorry, there's one more story I'm going to tell, because this is what I was thinking about when, I get, now when I go to airports, I get a driver to pick me up. Okay. It's like I have money now. I have an ease and I have a joy with money, by the way. So, you know what, Anna Marie, if you want to put that link up, because that's the link that people can go to find this class, Ease and Joy with Money. Now, what I used to do, I would fly in a Delhi, and it's pretty well known that if you go to the departure section instead of the arrival section, you're going to get a cheaper taxi, right? So I would go to and this is like at midnight, the plane would arrive. And I would go to the departure section, and I wouldn't even go to the taxis that were, all lined up, blah, blah, because they were going to be more expensive. And I'd find one of the guys that's like, taxi, and I'd get them. And there was this one night, and I arrived and I got on a taxi, and I know the way. Well, I probably don't know now, but I knew the way from Delhi, New Delhi airport to Paharganj, like pretty much. And I was like, he's not driving the right way. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And it was like, by this time it's like, almost 1 a.m. in the morning. And I was like, what have you done? And those moments that you go, dear God, or dear whoever, and you pray to, and you go, if you get me out of this, I promise I will never do this again. I was like, I will never, ever get a cheap ride to, in a taxi again if you get me out of this. Like, that's what I was doing, Anyway, and I said to him, we're not going, like, you're going the wrong way. Where are you taking me? And he was like, oh, no, I have to swap cars because this car's not working. This taxi's not working. I have to swap the taxis. And he drove into this massive car park, and there was just cars after cars after cars, and so many men just standing around there. And it's like 1 a.m. in the morning now. And he's like, we have to get out. You have to get out. You have to take your luggage out, and we have to swap cars. And the car was working. And I was like, far out. What am I going to do? So I went, okay, what energy do I have to be here? So I started yelling at him, and I was like, there is nothing wrong with this car. And I was like, I am not getting out. You are not taking my luggage out. You are driving me to Paharganj now, and did this really forceful energy of this, do not fuck with me, right? But inside I was going, what? And so anyway, he looked at me, and I could see this moment where he just went, okay, and changed what he was about to do. And we got to Paharganj, and I promised, I swore to God, I never went and got a cheap cab upstairs anymore and did that. But it's funny what you would do when you think you have no money, and you will put yourself into a situation that maybe is not the brightest move, But now it's like I travel in luxury. It's like I have, I'm traveling first class in Emirates to India on Monday, poor pitiful me. It's like I have a little, thing that I close, and I get caviar and champagne, and you get to shower on the plane. Like, it's lovely. I have an ease and joy with money. Before, what I was choosing more, I would say, is a hardship with money and a struggle with money, and a proving that I didn't need it. Because that's definitely was one of my, motives, like prove that you don't need the money. And then I'm not sure what I thought would show up, but it definitely wasn't ease, and it definitely wasn't joy. So I'm really grateful that I'm grateful at everything I've chosen. Because, I mean, I said to Paul the other day, I think everything I chose is like good copy, as my PR agent would say, you can put it into a book. Everything and also she was saying to me, how many successful people have stories like that? They've gone bankrupt. Their businesses have collapsed. They've stayed in $2 hotels with blood smeared on the wall or something like that. They've done that. And it's like, but you've just leapt into, okay, I've got this. I'm going to live this life. I'm going to choose something different, and I'm going to have an adventure. And I definitely dismissed money for a really long time. And then I eventually, times quite a few years later, I went, what would it take to have money show up in my life and create ease with it and joy with it? And I have created that. And now I'm also asking what else is possible from here. Sorry, that was a really long rant, but those stories have come out recently.
That was really awesome. And I didn't know parts of, the energy that you talked about being with a cab driver. And that was like so amazing. And I did not know that you get cheaper taxis in departure section in Delhi.
Um,
Thank
don't
you,
do
Nana.
it. Don't do it. I took one for the team, okay?
Okay,
I mean,
so that's not
maybe
that
do it
on.
if it's the middle of the day or something. But seriously, it's midnight, and I'm like, I'll get a cheaper taxi, you know. And it's
Yeah,
like, but there's no awareness there. That was just
yeah,
assumption, you know.
that.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I mean, it's like, and you pick, and you talked about the word assumption, like with the new tools coming, and wow, like how different can this conversation be
oh,
with money? I mean, I think all of us have used money as like from day one of. I mean, I think a lot of people love coming to access classes because every time they come to an access class, their money reality changes. And
yeah.
now, like we have such amazing tools like that are like just groundbreaking and that are coming up. Um, I wanted to ask you about. I mean, because when you announced the title of the class, it's like such an awesome title, Ease and Joy with Money, right? And it's like, yay! Of course, everyone will. Who wouldn't want it? And it was so interesting that then I started looking at like, wow, it's not something that people choose.
No,
People will do hard work, or people will fight for money, or people will do different things, but it's like, hey guys, like, where's the ease and joy with money? And I remember Gary had talked about, like, in one of the calls, like, the time when your money flows are dwindling, when it's like something else is possible, but your account doesn't say that much. And that's the time Gary talked about, look at what points of views you have that come up
yeah,
about your money reality. Could you talk about that? Like, because, it's like where we can start creating that energetic shift.
yeah. Look, that's actually a tool that I use to change my money reality, my financial reality. And if you come to the class, there's going to be so many tools, and like Shivam said, there is some stuff that's come up, in the last month or two with access consciousness, and it's changing the world. Like, and I don't think I can really go into it here because it's a longer thing, but it's people have had so many presumptive realities. Like, you presume something about money, and like you said, people will go, they have a presumptive reality that there's scarcity, that there's lack, that there's, you have a poverty mentality. Or something that I did was I was like so determined to do everything on my own. My father tried to gift me money, and I was like, no. I mean, it sounds like, oh, poor pitiful Simone, but I was like hands on hips going, I can do this on my own. And then, I mean, there's a story I was telling the other day too, that when I went to India, and India changed so much for me, looking at everything, and I have a lot of story. I mean, I've been to India a lot. Like, first time I went, I was 15, staying in an ashram in Ahmednagar. Like, I've done India way more than most Westerners have, and but it did change a lot for me. And there was one stage that I went through where I could see people in India who were happy and they had no money. But here's what I did. I went, oh, presumptive reality is they're happy and they have no money. So then what I did, so apparently I'm going to talk about these new tools. And then I went into my reactive reality. So my need of reactive reality was, oh, how do I obtain happiness? I should have no money. So I remember going home, and I would, it was that era, like I would wear the long flowing Indian skirts and the loose, what's it called? Cheesecloth that you would get from India. I'd wear that, and I'd wear a bindi on my head, and I would wear no shoes, and I was at home, and I was like, I don't need anything else, and that was my reactive reality to, this is how I am going to, obtain enlightenment and happiness, is having no money. Okay. There's no question in there. That's all conclusion, and it's all for me. There was this one train drive, and I was going from Delhi to Jaipur. I was going to Delhi to Jaipur, and it was 6 a.m. in the morning, and there's this family sitting on the side of the road, and she's boiling her tea, and the man is sitting in his rickshaw that's really old, and it's a bicycle rickshaw, and there's two kids playing and they've just got shorts on and they're dirty and everything. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. They're poor, presumptive reality that this is they're poor. And then my native reactive reality was, oh my God, I shouldn't have money. We should all, and then you start becoming like a socialist and all this sort of stuff. And this is all in a nanosecond, And then I looked again and I went, oh, they're really happy. And at that moment I went, oh, they're really happy. They look happier than me. And they've got no money. That means I should have no money, and that will equal happiness. And that's a native reactive reality. So like I said, I went home and I remember walking downtown in Sydney, and I've got this long flowing skirt, cheesecloth thing, binny on my head, no shoes. And I was like, oh, this is, to be honest with yourself, Simone, this is not really working out, is it? I so wanted to put shoes on and I so wanted to have a different outfit on or something like that. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. But I was always trying to look for that conclusion of what no money could give me. And so many people will use no money as this source of creation. And in truth, money isn't a source of creation. You are the source of creation. But I have learned, and I took one for the team over the years, is why not have money as you acknowledge that you are the source of creation? Like allow money to come in. And to me, that is, I have stepped into an ease and a joy with money by allowing myself to receive money from my choices, not literally trying to push it away and having it at this arm's length or even further than that. Like it was almost like disgusting if I had money, the root of all evil. Like I went through all of those, sayings and I was going to live a different life and I was going to, and then I actually at one stage had to move back in with my parents and I went, oh, that's not much fun. Like maybe I should get some money to pay some rent and get an apartment. So I always sort of just had like, oh, I'll just earn a bit more money here so I can create something different. I can create a little bit more ease. But what I'm inviting everyone here to, what if you had so much ease with money and so much joy with money beyond anything you could ever imagine? Like, let's go beyond our imagination. Let's ask for something even greater.
Wow. And that asking for something beyond your greatest imagination. I remember very recently I was speaking with another facilitator, Simone, who was in a class with you apparently in the year 2005, when you suggested to Gary and you asked him a question. You asked him, hey, Gary, what would it be like if Access Consciousness had a website and we could sell classes online or something like that? And then like that demand in your world to ask for what is beyond imagination, and the recent conversations we've been having in Access about what would it be like if there were more people choosing consciousness who are billionaires. And this
Yeah.
class that you're having is just such a it's a one full day class. It's a full day class and it's got some ridiculous pricing in my point of view, in my opinion. Like what it's can you speak a little more to that knowing and that awareness you have of what the world would be like if we all had more money?
Well, okay, so let me ask all of you listening, if you had, let's not do rupees right now, but if you had $1 million in the bank account, $1 million US dollars or €1 million in the bank account right now, what would you choose? Like, what would you choose with that money? And I'm actually going through so much change at the moment and in preparation for India. And one of the things I've been doing in the last couple of days is writing my will out. Because if I don't write my will, and I'm not dying, but if something happens to me, it gets left to my family, and then everyone has to deal with that. And I think that's unkind. So I'm writing it out and trying to figure out what I want. But as I'm looking at this, I'm like, why do I own this? What do I have this for? What do I have this for? Like, because I'm looking at all of my assets and everything I own, and I'm like, what am I choosing this for? So I was talking to Gary Douglas this morning, and I said, I'm looking at some stuff going, maybe I sell that. Because I've already invested in El Lugar in Costa Rica. I have a private house being built there. I have investments there. I've bought bonds there. I've, all of this sort of stuff. And it's like, to me, that brings me joy. So I was like, what if I sold one of the houses I have here and invest more money in El Lugar because it's bringing me joy? So I'm re-looking at all of my finances as well, going, okay, so I have money. What am I using it for? What am I choosing with my money? So what if you looked at that? It's like, what choice are you choosing with how you spend money? Like for me, it's like the planet is, and the earth is just, I don't know, my best mate. It's like, I love the earth so much and this planet. And so I'm started to ask it with everything I choose, does this match the energy of what I would like to have and be here on planet Earth? It's like, so what am I choosing with the money? So if you all had $1 million or €1 million or even, more, it's like, I'm at the moment asking for $20 to $50 million a year and to be able to pay taxes with ease as well. Don't forget that. So that's what I started asking for this morning, and really looking at what it is that I would like to have as the future of my life, but not from making anything relevant. Like everything that I thought was relevant, what if it isn't? And then what would I choose? And what would you all choose? Like, and here's the thing, how many of you go to this place of going, oh, I would choose XYZ, and you go, oh, I would just accumulate things, or it'd be too hard work because there'd be too much paperwork, or people would try and steal it from me, or people would just want me to give it to them, or they'd take it. And you have all of these points of view that literally stop you from receiving money. But if you destroy and uncreate all of those points of view and get over that, and then leap into a place of like, okay, so if I received more money, what other choices do I have? Like, there is an ease with choosing more money too. You can hire someone to look after some of your, wealth creations, or you could invest in something like Elugar, or, I mean, heck, what if we could, buy out different land around the world so the animals could have their land too? Like in Australia, they say by 2030, there's going to be no koalas. And I'm like, not on my watch. But I also don't get the energy of it's about me giving a whole lot of money to a koala foundation. It's something different. It's a bigger choice than that. So for me, it's like, what consciousness, what awareness can we all be here? And if we all had money with it, damn, we could change things. Stewards of the land.
And thank you for bringing that energy up, because and this is one of the things I love about Access, is that invites us to the gifting and receiving. Otherwise, money is like, and this is like the education I got growing up, looking at the world. Money was like, okay, first I make it for me, so I don't have to listen to my parents. Then now I have a little bit more than that. Okay, now you go do charity, so then it's for others. But it's like, and then you go do charity, but it's like, then nothing beyond that. Like, but what if like every choice that we made for like, or El Lugar, like, what if, I mean, and the presumption that where have I decided that wouldn't contribute to me? So it's like, could you talk about that, like going beyond transaction and the gifting and receiving? I mean, you already have.
Well, I would ask you too, Shivam, though, like when you say, and then like gifting to charity, how many people are gifting to charity based on necessity rather than choice? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is the right choice. And it's like, I'm sorry, what if you never made a right choice again? What if every choice you made was just because it was fun, because it was joyful, And there are charities that I've helped out. And to tell you the truth, I've helped out more people. Like, I love it when I've met people, individuals, and you can see that they require help and something. And it's like, and I've gifted to them. And it's like, that's fun. And it's like, but I mean, we try and tick all these boxes and go, oh, this is the right choice. This will create the right result. This will be a conclusion. I mean, I don't know. It's a big conversation, and something where I've been looking at recently too is how many people am I making relevant to each choice I'm making rather than truly being true to me? And I have no idea what that's going to look like. And I'm asking to be more of that and step into more of that and explore that energy and find out what's beyond that. So, and can I say all of that truly includes money? It's not money doesn't have to be like significant or so meaningful, because money's just money. You can have it or not have it. And I find most of the time when we don't have it, we make it really meaningful. And then I've gone through so many phases of what it is, not having money. Oh, now I deserve money, but I'll do good things with it, and proving that I should have money. And I've gone through this stuff. And now I'm like, okay, I have money. Now what? okay, I'm actually going to ask for more, because I'm realizing too, if I'm asking for $20 to $50 million a year, where's access consciousness? We're in over 175 countries right now, but how many people are actually choosing something greater for themselves and the planet if I'm earning $20 to $50 million a year? And if you're a facilitator and you're listening to this, my demand at the Australian facilitators was, if you don't make $1 million in the next year, that's a prerequisite. You're not allowed to be a facilitator the following year. And everyone got excited. So somewhere you actually desire it. So if I make it a prerequisite that you can't renew your license unless you make $1 million, then maybe you'll all get to work and we can change the world.
Wow, I cannot wait. I am so looking forward, Simone. And I know I've been speaking to people, and everybody's really excited for this. It's a full day class with you, and it's about money on the 17th of March, live at the Hyatt Regency Bikaji Kama in New Delhi, and also available online. It's also an audio live class. There will be no video, it's an audio live class which you could listen to. And that's the link. If anyone's interested in looking for this, you could also message either of us and we can make the process easy for you to come attend.
And it's in a bunch of languages, because I know it's been, like, you guys are thankfully so grateful translating us at the moment into all these different languages. So yeah, check that out as well. I'm excited to come to Delhi. I'm leaving Monday night. So on Emirates First Class, I'll take a little video and I'll post it on my Instagram, okay? Ease and joy with money. This is what it looks like. Caviar and champagne and a bed.
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
But I just want to
Yeah.
add one more thing, because when I say that, I know it brings up an energy for a lot of people. And that's, I deliberately say it because I know it brings up, people are like, I never, ever, 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 ever thought that that is something I could choose. Ever. Like there was days when I was struggling to get an economy ticket from America to California to go to an access class and then sleep on people's lounge room floors and never go to a restaurant, like, go and buy, bread, and I take my Vegemite and make a Vegemite sandwich or something, because I didn't have the money to do it. And I could not see the future of me, flying first class or even a private jet or staying in 5-star hotels all the time with ease. But I do now. Okay. And this is one of the questions that Paula was asking me, because she said, I listened to the way you talk about it. None of my choices have just been like, oh, look, it's here. Let's just do it. It's like I invested in a castle in Italy. I was like, am I seriously doing this? Investing in El Lugar, it was like, oh my God, buying my first house. I was like, I looked at my accountant and went, can I do this? And she was like, yeah, you can. And I was like, okay, if you think I can do it, then I can do it. Every choice I've made hasn't been laid out and having this assurity to it. And I think that's what people look for, is this like reassurance with every choice they make with money. And it's like, no, you just got to dive in there. You got to dive in and find out what's next. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. So what action are you going to take today? Maybe that first action is signing up to the class. Maybe the first action is getting this book, Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. It's like, or just listening to this again and maybe asking some of the questions that we've asked. Start with something to change your reality, to create a different future. Okay, I'm good now. Over and out. Fade to black.
Love it. Love it. So, Shivam, is there something you want to say?
No, that's it. Like, thank you, Simone, for inviting, just not this class, like inviting all of us for all these years to different possibilities, to choosing, to creating. And you've just been such an inspiration for, oh my God, all of us, for like going beyond. And I just adore that about you. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you, truly. And I'll see you guys really soon.
Yeah.
Yay! Going to Paharganj. Bye.
Yes, we're going to Paharganj. Yes. I love everyone in India goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, we're going. We're taking David Kubis as well.
Cool. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, translators. Thank everyone who's organized this. I adore you guys. super grateful. All right.